my brain is still in recovery mode from taking in so many high level important.
Hello, humans. Welcome to Audio Face, Murder Reverent podcast about music news and culture that mostly matters. I am Sean.
I am Dan, and I bet you didn't think I could actually cue all the things correctly this time, didn't you?
It's beautiful. This is
it's poetry in motion. That's the power of Dan getting sleep and vacation.
This is true. This is Dan experiencing new life things. You know, when you just venture further where you can actually afford shit, must be nice. Changes your outlook on life. As episode 18 of this fine established podcast about morals and flags and shit, we got 3 records for you.
These are definitely 3 of the most recordist records we've ever talked about.
Yes,
we've been kind of looking forward to this time of the year for a very good part of the year, and
you didn't disappoint. We have Cutouts by The Smile, double dipping Radiohead. They lawyered us. They gave us extras. More on that in a little bit. We got Honey by Caribou. Caribou's latest record, 4 years from his last release. And we have Welcome to the Night by Sad Night Dynamite. Debut record. Indie. Alternative. Fun stuff. Yeah.
Often called like another iteration or very inspired by Gorillaz and a lot of other artists like that. We will more on that later. We'll talk.
Report you decide.
Yeah, we report you decide.
Fair, balanced, and unafraid. Where's my man Britt Hume at?
Ding. Speaking of, I'm getting advertisements for the 20th anniversary edition of Food.
Oh my god, I know. Yeah. 20th anniversary of Food. Oh my god, I feel so old. I'm having a midlife crisis right now.
Sean, there's only one beer left. Rappers screaming all in our ears like we're deaf. More on that later. But yeah, they have an apron, food apron. I'm gonna have to cop that.
We're absolutely gonna get milked by MF Doom and Associates in definitely in Belize. We're definitely gonna pay to the state of Doom just for this. This collection is it's too near to the heart. Food is an album.
God bless.
Even an album. Yeah.
So yeah, let's do we is this how it's gonna go? Do we just jump into the we it's I will also say it's been 2-3 weeks since the last
a couple weeks.
Audio Face. Yeah. A lot of that has just been due to my schedules.
Life.
I was just life.
Both of our schedule. It's just life.
Yeah.
We got jobs and shit.
Yeah, like I said, we won Audio Face as far as the point we've made with reviewing the music. We're going to kind of change up the format next year for future episodes, and I think it'll be more fun for all involved. Nonetheless, this is a very fun episode. That being said, yeah, I didn't really, the most of the news that's happened this week is every time you open any type of music news outlet and see another story about Diddy, it's just oh god, worse.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Horrifying stories coming out about everything. But it's one of those it's I hate to measure these things, but it's another Weinstein situation, if not worse. And depending on how you quantify that, I don't even want to get into the conversation of how you quantify that, but yeah, that's just terrible. I hope all of the survivors of all of that find justice. And just before the show, I saw that Bow Wow posted saying, after the Grammys, it's not going to be the same. Those post Grammy parties that Diddy was running, like, you know, the whole like everything's going to change. I'm just going to say, I've been at some post Grammys parties. I actually used to go for like 2-3 years straight, and
How about that? Yeah.
I didn't see any freak offs. I saw, you know, the classic things you'd see from like, you know, celebrities. Maybe I didn't get invited to the worst parties, and you know what? Good. Frankly, I got no interest in that. I think the most interesting things I saw at those parties was like they were selling CBD. That was the first time I saw them selling like CBD sodas and things like that in lieu of like alcohol. Pretty early on, like 2015, 2016. So, you know, God bless for that. And I always say I did see Mick Jagger. He was in the bathroom doing exactly what you'd expect Mick Jagger to do.
I mean, I would expect nothing else. I would hope for nothing else. If not, you didn't see Mick Jagger then.
Yeah, I did see Katy Perry. We did not have a great interaction. And I also did see Shui Lee from Ray Shremmerd, Free Slim Jimmy, and he is incredibly short, and that's why I always make that joke.
So, that's my favorite thing. I forgot about that.
And he rolls up to like parties that are like A-listers only and Dan from the internet, and like and his connection to get into the party. No offense to him, but he rolls into this like A-listers party surrounded by like 5 bodyguards, 5 or 7 bodyguards are just surrounding him completely and circling him, walking around him the whole time. I'm just like, dude, if Mick Jagger feels safe at this party, you can.
Like, you're chilling, bro.
Yeah, like I don't know what you did to Slim Jimmy to where you think you have to roll that deep out in LA, but like, you know, get your passes right. Anyways, with that said, there hasn't been that much music news that, you know, has risen up to the level of the let's just say tenured audio face that we're at right now. And so let's just jump in right to the first album review, shall we?
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. We have Cutouts by The Smile. It is 10 songs, 44 minutes long.
Let's get it popping.
It's yes, absolutely Ben Shapiro. Their second album release of this year, and if you have a release, push it back. If you have an alternative rock record, push it back because
you have to do 2025 for that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm trying not to glaze on like Tom York, Tom Skinner, Johnny Greenwood, Nigel Godrich producing, but
okay, so can I not then, and can I start with start? A severe fear I had?
Start.
You know, dear God, if I had ever been in a world where I got 2 albums in 1 year from like 50% plus 1 of Radiohead, I don't know what I would do with myself. Even, you know, I was barely sentient for like the run they had in the 1990s to the 2000s. And even then it wasn't until meeting you and around the 2010s, not to date us too much, but like I actually got really exposed to Radiohead. But this is a lot of musical content from a lot of not just like people who are great at music and consistently great at music, but consistently great at music in an audio face sense. We have a bias. We named the podcast kind of in tongue-in-cheek way about that. But like they've always been able to switch up and keep it interesting. And so, especially when I heard the first 2 songs in this record, I thought their switch up to keep it interesting, especially to release a record and you know, so immediately after Wall of Eyes that came out earlier this year, that is very, you know, Wall of Eyes itself is kind of fast paced. It's to the point. It's got some really interesting music in it. Cutouts started kind of, you know, in a beautifully good Tom York, Johnny Greenwood, Tom Skinner, all those people like collaborating way, but it felt really slow, and I was worried that like they were just going to like take the entire album in a slow tack, right? Like they were going to take it into like a deeper, slower, which, you know, would have made sense. They're getting older. It tends to be like what you see when folks like age, they no longer have that Damon Albarn song 2 energy, and they just like are now making songs like Poison with Rocket Juice in the Moon. They're just like slower and you just like can rock back and forth. Like I was kind of solemnly preparing for that when I got to Instant Psalm, which was just like the second song on the album, which is not bad, but I was just like, it's leaves some to be desired. Also, I've been playing song 3, Zero Sum, on repeat so much that I was thankful that we did an extra 30 minutes for the show, because I needed to listen to other things a second time. And I was like, oh, I'm running out of minutes. And I was like, the boys did it again. The boys did it again. Always bet. Yeah, that's Snoop Dogg quote.
Yeah.
Them niggas don't miss. They really don't miss.
There's a run in this record where I just go like, for you, Zero Sum, for me it's Eyes and Mouth. Eyes and Mouth. Holy crap. So Zero Sum I heard before, like in some like live things here or there. Colors Fly, we saw live in LA, but I was so happy that they brought this in this record, because I was really disappointed in Wall of Eyes that they didn't put Colors Fly, this really cool, groovy, almost like spooky sounding song that just blossoms to this beautiful crescendo of almost like controlled chaos, which Radiohead Smile basically perfected in a way. And then that I was like ecstatic that that song was there. Beautiful rendition. They changed it quite a bit for the album, and I think they actually made it better for the record. And then you get this incredible piece of Eyes and Mouth that literally got me emotional when I was listening to it, because I'm like, wow. It blew me away of just the guitar work, the drums, the bass, these little backing vocals, the production. It's so fresh, but it's still them to the core. It's just, I mean, there's a quote that Johnny said a few years ago that in his perfect world, he would love to have more Radiohead things come out twice as often and be 90% as good. And that's kind of what they're doing with The Smile. But this record, to me, is as good as Radiohead projects are. The other records of The Smile are great. I think they're like 90% of Radiohead. But the Cutouts is like, with that run, Zero Sum, Colors Fly, Eyes and Mouth, and then Don't Get Me Started. Like, when you have that good of a run, I'm like, this is like a Radiohead record good. It is unbelievable that as a side project they do that. And I was like literally getting emotional that then they put Don't Get Me Started, which we talked about when they released it as a single. And I'm like, oh my God, they put the synth stuff right there, right after. Super upbeat, fun, kind of crazy jazz tunes, and then put in the experimental, almost Atoms for Peace-esque style Radiohead in the middle. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like, unbelievable. I'm going to read you a quote from Punch. It's very short, very simple, because he's waited to listen to this record because he hasn't had time. Just this, listen to the smile. Very good. If Punch says very good, that means it's orgasmic. That means it's
yeah, that's the best you're gonna get out of that, man.
And I cannot wait to actually talk to him about it, because if he says just comma very good, I know that this shit's gonna be blasting for ages. Unbelievable.
No, yeah, like Don't Get Me Started.
Oh.
We've talked about this dynamic with other Smile records, but also with other really good records where our first, dip of the toe into it with these singles, I was just like, oh, I don't really know what to expect. And knowing that was the only single I'd heard from it, while also going into Foreign Spies and Instant Psalm, which, to be clear, Foreign Spies is like a beautiful track.
It's a gorgeous track, hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah, it is very much. I like, as someone who has been playing a lot of, I tend to really embrace the podcast format, and so like if I'm listening to a lot of something, it's usually stuff that's come out that year. And I've been coming back to Wall of Eyes so much, especially like the kind of, like you were saying, the organized chaos of songs like I Quit and Teleharmonic and Bending Hectic. And
Bending Hectic's beautiful. Love it.
I've seen Radiohead as a project kind of move towards slower but deeper pieces. I think with in Rainbow's kind of being a crescendo point, King of Limbs and A Moon-Shaped Pool never really stopped in the tempo necessarily, but there are definitely, you know, the signs of an aging band that didn't want to make electioneering anymore.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so you want to feel old. But somewhere out there, there's a clip of me, Sean, and some high school friends performing Electioneering by Radiohead, and I hope
I'm
it
gonna
never
wear a
comes
paper
to life.
bag. I'll never forget. I'm gonna wear a paper bag just because the class for that
I'm
shit.
gonna commit acts of domestic terrorism if that ever comes out.
Oh, that comes out, it's game over.
Politically.
Politically, it's game over.
Allegedly, not actually. This audio face isn't monetized on YouTube, so I don't care. But yeah, I was a little bit worried that it was going to be sort of that, okay, we are slowing down a little bit in general thing, which is like, you know, not a bad thing, but I thought that was just going to be a take they did. These are people who have done compositions for films. They've done music in a lot of different settings other than just traditionally releasing an album. And so you can see how they can, like, you know, just choose to make a direction. And you know what, like, I'm a good little piggy. I'll eat that slop. Absolutely. But like, I'm glad that they are staying true to, again, to underscore what you're saying, the Smile being a side project, where that thing you said, I think Johnny Greenwood said that like 2 times more, 90% is good. This is 100% is good. This is 110% is good. I mean, like, I think of them truly. I can't, it's like picking children or nieces and nephews. Like, you can't really choose your favorite, but there's like different reasons you like different ones, and like they scratch certain itches and like interests and things like that. And so yeah, the Radiohead, the Gorillas, pet peeves, right? Radiohead's definitely out of spot. You know, they're supposedly in the studio again, inshallah. Like, you know, they'll make another album together. Really, every album they make now feels like their last album. But you know, that is a certain sort of echelon of project. It has a meaning, it has a background. The Smile is actually kind of developing that on its own as well. But you know, it's a very different meaning, and it allows you know, the folks in the Radiohead crew who want to participate. I'm sure Colin Greenwood's like fine, but you know, he just wants to. I think he's also a little bit more of a family man and just like isn't.
Yeah, they're all
big.
live in different places and stuff, right?
Yeah.
They're all doing their own things, and it's cool that their side projects and standalone projects are still great because it's a testament to them as artists, right? Because you can have people make solo works and stuff from records and that or from bands that don't really hit or whatnot. You're like, oh, they only really work well collaborating together, but they've all shown that they are fantastic. Just single individuals, half of them, like uh, it shows their prowess as artists in general, which is impressive and very, very rare. And to me, what I really like with this record, looking at reviews and stuff, because I was actually very honest. I don't want to just glaze on this record. But it's genuinely good. Even if you're not like a Radiohead fan or Smile fan, like this is where a lot of people were like, oh, I get it now. I understand the Smile. Because before they might be, oh, it's just kind of a side project, some things that they've worked on and whatnot. But Cutouts, universally regarded now, where people are like, we understand the project now. Okay, this is here to stay, and this is very good alternative rock in a space that, you know, we've had some very good alt rock projects. We've also had some very Uncle Rocky alt rock projects and stuff in the past couple of years. I mean, Blur last year, terrible fucking record, awful, horrendous.
Catch it wrapped in dog
musicians,
shit. And
but
that's a great thing to point out, that like it's important to contextualize this within the genre as well.
yeah, and it just again goes into just how good they are as artists. This is why, like, we held them in such high regard, and I want to scrutinize them as much as I can. But I'm like, God damn it, they did the thing. If I only have one complaint, I actually wish that Foreign Spies was the ending track. I wish it was not the beginning track. That's my only gripe of the whole thing, because I think it is beautiful. It reminds me actually a lot of Amnesiac era Radiohead, which is my favorite fucking weird, beautiful Radiohead in there. I just wish it didn't start with that, because I think some people can get turned off by that one and then miss the rest of the record, right? I think it would have been a very good ender. But that's just be me being extremely nitpicky. But that run from Zero Sum, Colors Fly, Eyes and Mouth, Don't Get Me Started is one of the best runs of their entire careers. Like that just like unbelievable. That's literally why I was getting emotional, because I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think I was gonna get this again in my lifetime. And I'm like,
they
don't miss.
It's one of the rare times we say on Audio Face, they still make them like this.
They still make them like this, exactly. And it's like, wow, it gives me hope. And this year is just blowing my socks off. And I'm like, God damn it. Like they one up themselves from their record earlier this year. It's just beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. And you know, this isn't to say that like songs 7 through 10 are lackluster.
They're awesome too.
They
They're
land
amazing.
the plane. Baby's Still Asleep. Like it works. The album, other than the kind of maybe say turbulent takeoff, to continue the analogy. This is also a John Review record, and so like it's
gotta have the plane analogy somewhere.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would have moved, or at least distributed differently. I don't think you start with something like Zero Sum, but I think that needs to be your second song if you really want to like make sure the Smile works. I mean, not the Smile works, but I mean the album, the Cutouts. I keep putting the in front of things, don't you know? And so speaking of, ultimately, other than maybe some slight tweaks to the beginning of the record, this is a very good record. And once again, to quote DJ What's His Face, push it back. If you're any other alternative artist, push it back.
1225. Don't release it now. Thank God the horrors pushed it back. Thank God. Like just next year. That's it.
Oh no. If I were the Horrors, I'd be scared, because the Smile, Tom York and Johnny Greenwood's old asses released
two incredible records in a year.
2 albums we're going to have compete against each other in this year's Audio Face Awards.
That's kind of great.
Yeah. We haven't been lawyered this hard since
Smacky Schmeckle Helicopter.
Since both parties reached an amicable result. So yeah, this is
basically.
I would be scared. I would be scared releasing an alternative album in 2025. I'd be scared releasing an alternative album like 2026. These old men have rocket launchers. They're very, very good.
It's just it just blew me out of the water. I did not expect it to be that good. I was expecting to like it because naturally I'm a fan, but I wasn't expecting it just to be wow. I'm like, it's incredible. You know, it's why, you know, this is why tongue in cheek we named the Audio Face, because we're like, why we have hope for music is artists like this, right? And just
an artist like who, you know, to end it, like artists who constantly are never, you know, they're satisfied with their previous work, but they never want to sit on it. They always want to improve and build on it. And once they've released it and once they've toured it, they've had enough and they want to relearn themselves. Like,
I mean, almost like think of it now in a different art analogy. Think of like a fashion house, right? Like, you know, Yves Saint Laurent, always innovating, making thousands of sketches to continue making a brand 40, 50 years long. But you know the style, but you're always making new. It's like it's timeless.
Yeah. Applies to film, applies to a lot of art forms, applies to even sports and what athletes are able to accomplish. It's the pursuit of constant improvement. It's what people often do in their own individual work. It's like, that's why I think we value it, is because continuous learning, continuous growth is just like a great thing about life, I think. And when you see that reflected in musicians who have been doing this since the early 90s, and now like you're getting to 30 years of them doing this, then it's something to behold that they still make them like this when so many artists don't, and they've given up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or they haven't given up, and we all wish they would. Kanye. Arbitrary scale.
Arbitrary scale this week on Audio Face. We always have arbitrary scales because our review is our review. We do not want to give it a letter grade ranking or a number, because then that just defeats the purpose of you listening to our actual review. And we made a scale that doesn't make sense on purpose to confuse the people.
Mostly because we don't want to get pitchforked or Anthony Fantano. So if you want to complain about one of our reviews, you're going to sound like a crazy person, and it also is going to mean that you're a fan. Because if you're comparing like blimp accidents to this week's arbitrary scale, which is professional Twin City sports teams, you're just an Audio Face fan. You're not even trolling. You're just an Audio Face fan.
You compare that to Formula One car designs. You compare it to sports chokes or whatever. Like, that's why we made the arbitrary scale.
Okay, so here's the thing. I will say this. In that spirit, I just really quickly went to the rundown doc for episode 291 of Audio Face, which you may or may not remember is when we did Wall of Eyes. That arbitrary scale was 2024 aviation incidents. Look at Dan's memory. Okay, so you've got to make sure that no one can troll in these comment sections, and please, post whatever you want to do in these comment sections or chat if you're watching live, as folks are doing. I appreciate. But if you think that our professional sports team comparisons are not worthy of the 2024 aviation accident that we gave the smile, because if you got to compare those two completely different things, you need a therapist.
And that's why we made the arbitrary scale. Also, we need to have another 2024 aviation instance as our last scale, because there's been so much more shit that's popped off.
Does unionizing count as a 2024 aviation incident?
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Kicking off heads of unions, failed mergers, bankruptcies, people cashing in Catalina. Oh, it's my Christmas. Love it.
Spirit waving the white flag. Okay.
All right.
So this is teams this time, and we've got a lot to work from here. Actually, I'm going to open it up to formers too.
Oh, this is if it's formers, absolutely Minnesota North Stars, 1000%. This is my favorite Minnesota sports team, the former Minnesota North Stars. Ain't no fake ass Minnesota Wild, even though my dad likes them and they have Kirill Kaprizov, who goes hard. The North Stars had like some of my favorite jerseys ever, and them bitch asses had to move to Dallas and make like my least favorite team, the Dallas Stars. But North Stars went hard. That color combination just beautiful. Their logo so simple but beautiful. Yeah, awesome, beautiful team.
I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Lynx. They're the WNBA team. They have qualified for the WNBA playoffs in 15 of their 26 years, and I love that the branding of like the Lynx and the Timberwolves are very similar. It also utilizes the North Star sort of branding and aesthetic, and it's like Wolves, Lynx, very similar, not too like, overtly sexist. Maybe they'll have to change it in like 30 years, but you know what? It's a great team. They are, I believe, in the playoffs / finals right now. So watch it right now. Also, WNBA just winning this year, and I'm happy to see it.
That about time.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Anyways.
Second album review of the day, serving it up Gary's way. Bean. Let me pop it up here. Boom. We've got Honey by Caribou, which is...
Can I just say? Huck, look, yeah. Huck, look, yeah. Ooh, Caribou. I meant to have that queued up, but every time we do a Caribou review, I have to play that clip from Jimmy Neutron.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's a very vivid childhood memory there.
Speaking of Minnesota,
40 minutes.
That's when Retroville froze over.
It's true. Caribou, a very esteemed electronic artist, made two of my favorite electronic albums ever of Swim and Our Love. Especially Swim is one of my favorite ever electronic music records. Beautiful. You had Suddenly in 2020, which was a great record. It came out right before COVID, like a week or two before COVID hit. So it's interesting
God.
as like, thank God. And it was interesting because I listened to it a lot during the early, like beginning stages of the pandemic and whatnot. And it kind of has its own time capsule. Whenever I come back to that record, I just get that feeling back with it and everything, which is kind of a shame in a way.
I mean, like
But
it's a
still
mixed feeling. Like there's
mixed feeling, yeah.
like, you know, I think coming out of that, a lot of people found, you know, growth and new things, but also it was a very weird time. But yeah,
Right, yeah.
God, I think what was it? New Jade I was playing a lot, but there's also Daphne that also came around during this time, which is Caribou's side project that I think you have to, like, you know, worthily compare in these things. And there were so many tracks off of Cherry in 2022 that were just like sending me. I think it was, yeah, Cloudy, actually, the that track on repeat. And when I mean on repeat, I mean like Sick from Earl Sweatshirt for me on repeat, where Spotify called me out and it's like, your second most listened to song was probably actually Cloudy by Caribou, and I was like 200 times. Your first most listened to song was Sick by Earl Sweatshirt, and that was 500 times. Daniel, find God. But also I want to admit, like this, not to admit, but just point out, like the thing that's scrolling underneath us right now. I'm pretty sure we did a Caribou bonus episode, and that is in the Syndicate 23 archives. So
we
become
did
a
do
Syndicate
one.
23.
Yeah, we
check
did.
out the Syndicate 23 membership for that. But yeah, just Caribou's been busy. He's been cooking under multiple alter egos, and I think that he's also the exemplary example, another exemplary example, similar to the Smile / Radiohead and Associates, which I think we can technically refer to collectively as Self-Help Tapes LLP, because that's what they keep releasing things under. So speaking of therapy, it's a theme of this record, theme of this episode rather. But you know, Caribou definitely is an artist who appreciates change, got to change, if you will, the ending song of this record. And I think, dare I say it, I'll just say it for the sake of a hot take, it's hardest to change in electronic music.
Absolutely. Like, I don't even have to think about that, and I wholeheartedly agree. It's very, very
God
difficult.
Damn it, Caribou did it.
Because if you go, I was gonna say that, because if you go from my favorite Caribou record, which is Swim, came out in 2010, so 14 years ago, to Honey, 14 years later, completely different sounds, completely different projects.
Please talk about it. I'm going to go off camera to use the bathroom, but you've got
All
this.
right, and this is the Sean from the Internet show now. But from Swim, right, you have a much more chiller sound that is really influenced by, you know, kind of deep house, techno kind of sounds, but also some really experimental, interesting tracks. I mean, the opening track, Odyssey, you have a Leaf House, which is my favorite on there. It's just this beautiful kind of house beat and stuff that develops and is very like detrimental to my thinking of Caribou. When you get to Honey, this record is much more upbeat, much faster, but it's not like kind of that hyphy-typhy stuff that I really dislike that you've been getting a lot of EDM recently. But it's definitely more experimental and quicker in the sense of a Caribou record. But you still have tracks like in the middle, you have Do Without You, which that's been on repeat for me since this record's come out. Come Find Me in August 2024. That run of 3 tracks is just beautiful. I love how the crescendo in the middle of Come Find Me is it really encapsulates this record of, you know, making an electronic music artist kind of like their own like little tag, their own little sound, but pushing it forward to where you're not making the same record, you know, 20 times in a row, which kind of, as Dan is alluding to, electronic music is the hardest genre to change because you tend to find a sound and can go from there. But you could also go into different directions and do what Caribou has done now and have different alter egos, experiment, and really try to reinvent your sound throughout it. And he did. Um, through like right after August 124, I have Dear Life, which that's like a really trippy kind of experimental techno track, but still fits in this record. But again, for being a Caribou album, it's very fast paced, upbeat. It's different compared to his other records and stuff that are a bit slower and take some kind of divulging to get into. It's just in your face, but in a good way, not in a like overbearing, oh, I hate this shit, turn it off. It's fun. It's just a good record. I don't know how else to explain it, but I really enjoyed it. And I wasn't expecting this, honestly, either. I was like, whoa, taken aback almost for how high paced and fun this record is. Because a lot of other Caribou projects are make me want to think, or very introspective sounding and whatnot. I think that's why I love Swim so much. But this is
Same
the
with me and Suddenly, and even Our Love also.
Our Love too, yeah. But again, like that run in the middle, it's just so upbeat, but not overly upbeat to where again you want to turn it off or you're like it's kind of whatever. No, it still makes you think in a way, but just different. And again, like as you've alluded to, he did the damn thing. He changed the sound, and it's just a testament to Caribou as an artist, right? Like Dan Snaith, that's the actual name, is an amazing artist through his alter egos and everything else, like almost a pioneer of electronic music now, I think, in the modern age, where a lot of people think of electronic music as just, you go to, Hard Summer or whatever, or you go to EDC and it's just all that crap. I'm like, no, that's not electronic music. That's just garbage. This is electronic music, and this is what it can be if put in the right hands of someone who respects the art and wants to push it forward in a unique way, but in a good way and an approachable way too.
Yeah, like your comment about like EDC and those sorts of festivals, like they've found that if you just play the hits button and you just like hit the space bar, the hits button, for a certain audience, like they will keep coming back for spending that money, and that's totally fine, because that's how you make money. It's hard to make money as a consistent musician, and a lot of these electronic music artists are touring constantly, much to their detriment, mentally and physically. I just saw like Disclosure post like an artist they had like worked with, their friends with, who had died from a head injury while they were touring in Ibiza. And so that's those things are always very sad to see, but it's very a relevant part and piece of electronic music and what it means to like have to constantly make that money to sustain wanting to do that art, right? And so they've figured that out, but it's been really special to see artists who go, I'm not going to take the path of least resistance. I'm actually going to try to push the boundaries, push myself, as Dan Snaith, as Caribou, using, and I think we're seeing a pattern here. Like I make fun of Damon Albarn, but a lot of Damon Albarn's growth, the most easiest way to say is like Blur through Gorillaz, but through his solo projects, through all of his one-off and different things. On the JJ Doom record, when Doom did an electronic music pivot, Damon Albarn joined him on that record, right? So I think when you have artists who are willing to, my joke about, sorry about the motorbike cyclist on my block, right? You're probably hearing, but Damon chose to my joke about Damon Albarn having black friends is because he did Rocket Juice in the Moon with all these different African artists who he would eventually, from all throughout the diaspora, from like the Caribbean to the continent itself to America, and those ultimately inform not just his music and his style, but other things that he would do in the future, right? I'm talking a lot about Damon Albarn there, but Radiohead and all their side projects, and the fact they've all felt empowered to explore themselves outside of the confines of a particular musical project. I think that I'm confirmed, not even finding, but confirmed, because we've been doing this bitch for 8 years plus, right? Like that is one of the things you need to do, that space to be able to explore and push even your idea of yourself as an artist through different side projects to really grow and to really like show that growth, you know?
Right. It's just kind of what I said earlier too, where an artist who wants to experiment, who wants to sound different and push himself forward and whatnot, that's what you get with somebody that respects the art but wants it to evolve and not just stay stagnant in one thing. And that's why, Caribou has many alter egos and has done work under a few different names and worked with plenty of different artists and whatnot. And throughout the years has really proved himself to be at a forefront of innovation in electronic music. And this record just proves that, to where it's like, wow, you've been doing electronic music for 20 plus years and you're still at the forefront of innovation and making it sound fresh and new in that way. And every album is different. Not one Caribou project sounds the same, which is crazy.
And there I see evolution. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
I think Swim stands like toe to toe with like most electronic music today, but he is still like, not accepted the fact that he can move and do better than that. Our
Right.
love is, improvements off of that. Suddenly our improvements off of that. I'm keeping the Daphne projects out of this because again, I could just play Cloud by Daphne for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I could pick that song for the rest of my life and probably be good. Maybe next to Paper Mill. But that is, it's just like more testament to how it's the caliber, how much you push as an artist, and do all those other different things. I just forgot to like mention some songs. I know you did. But yeah, like Come Find Me, Dear Life, Campfire was interesting. It was very experimental, and that's what I liked. It got like Caribou still does experimenting in these things. But no, it just was a good, and I think last point from me, what our favorite electronic records do well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I know this at this point, are they play through like live mixes. Like front to back, like beginning to end, the songs work together as what this is, a 40 God, that's tiny on title, a 40 minutes 35 seconds record. It plays through like a 40-minute 35-second set that, damn it, I mean, as a set should definitely be twice or three times as long maybe, but as an album is great.
Absolutely. Just, we were looking forward to this record for a reason, and we're not disappointed at all. God damn it, he can still
Caribou's consistent.
Absolutely. All right, arbitrary scale.
Actually, can I do one last thing?
Go ahead.
Because I kind of promised we would do it earlier, and I just gotta. I hold on. I just gotta, honor tradition. 1 second.
There's gonna be Caribou chili tonight, boys. Cluck, yeah, cluck, yeah. Ooh, Caribou.
Anytime he releases a record, we got to do that. That's vivid childhood memories there.
Ooh, Caribou.
That's great. That's amazing.
Think about was like deep cut.
Exactly.
Literally.
All right. Arbitrary scale every week. It's our review. Listen to our review. Damn it, not our ranking score. That doesn't make any sense. This week is a professional sports teams in Minnesota in the Twin Cities. This is absolutely 1000% the Minnesota Vikings. Football team, hand egg. I always love their uniforms because purple is the best color on God's green flat earth. And they've had some storied, interesting history and stuff, and always kind of going hard throughout the years. So Minnesota Vikings, let's do it.
I'm gonna give it, just because I will always and forever be a fan of early 2000s NBA. The Minnesota Timberwolves, specifically Timberwolves with Kevin Garnett.
Oh, those are the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that never quite like absolutely fully did it with the championships or whatever, but they were just fun basketball to watch. And that assessment is not meant to be a nod on Caribou at all. But although you could consider Caribou to be like kind of not the most well known, but I think if you're in electronic music and into it and have gone to multiple festivals, you understand Caribou. So like you're pretty good on that. And yeah, it's just it was great to see basketball return to the Twin Cities because Los Angeles stole the Minnesota Lakers. That's why I always try to remind people.
That's why they're
Los
called
Angeles
the Lakers.
The Los Angeles Lake. What other than the alliteration, which is just the pronoun Los, right? Like there's no other alliteration. Los Lakers, whatever. Noted Laker hater and Clipper enjoyer Dan from the internet here. Third album, ready?
Let's do it. All right, third album review of the day, serving up Gary's Way Bean. We have Welcome the Night, sorry, by Sad Night Dynamite, which is 12 songs, 38 minutes long. Jesus Christ. Okay. So actually, this is not their debut record, is it?
I don't think so, because we had reviewed, I had like music recommended Sad Night Dynamite in another like very long time ago on Audio Face. I'm just trying to like get everything up here. Yeah, they had a self-titled record. Yeah, the self-titled
that's right. Yeah, they did a few years ago. Yeah, okay. So I guess second 2.5 records, because I know they had like an EP type thing the following year. So yeah, anyways, so this record I know it's gotten some attention and stuff for the sound and whatnot, especially alternative in the year of our Lord 2024. And this is interesting record. At first listen, I wasn't too big of a fan of it. On second listen, I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting. It's like kind of what you alluded to of Gorillaz sounding stuff where you're blending alternative with pop, hip hop, trap, and auto-tune sounds and whatnot, doing a lot of motifs that, make alternative, right? And I actually ended up thoroughly enjoying this record. I think that like some of it didn't necessarily hit for me. I think sometimes it could get a little kind of messy with like switching between too many different sounds, but as like a fun project of like true alternative in that way where it's like not quite indie, but not quite alt rock or whatnot. It's just different. It's alternative. It's kind of has its own little realm in that way. And I think it could stand out on its own in that. I really like the opening track a lot. If You Walk, I think it's a beautiful opening track to get you kind of settled in, where I'm like, oh yeah, this is really cool alternative sounds and whatnot. Then with Godfather, Wake Up, Pass Out, you have more of like hip hop sounds and stuff like that, pop motifs and everything, but twisted to make it, in that twisted to make it sound in that alternative realm and to fit in that. Yeah, what do you think? I'm interested to hear what you think of this.
I had a very similar opinion where I was listening to it in the like my first time, and I was like, Gorillaz is very apt because I believe it was Song Machine where we got the track Dead Butterflies, which is like something that I was expecting to get from Gorillaz, but like was really, really not looking forward to, which was Damon Albarn attempting a trap sort of, not necessarily pivot, but Damon has never really shied away from whatever is trending in music pop wise or popularly, especially in America, especially for, Black communities in music. Damon Albarn has Black friends. And it's been both like a savvy business decision, but it's also been something that has helped him challenge himself musically and push himself musically. That thing has gone really well. My first listen of Dead Butterflies by Gorillaz, and I promise I'm coming back to this record, was that, I really hate all of these mixes together. And my second and third and fourth and fifth and 20th and 30th and 40th listen since then. I don't necessarily come back to that track very much, but I was thinking about it very much in that like I don't think it's perfect, and I also don't think all of these sort of experiments need to be necessarily perfect. I kind of like experiments for the sake of experimentation, and yes, this like Tori Moa's record this year
Right.
dipped into the trap pivot, uh, not to the quality that I would like, and also it like 6 years too late from when it would have been even desirable because the market is just too saturated right now and saturated for the worse, which kind of creates a stain on anything that tries to do it without really pushing it in a different way. That said, like when you mentioned Wake Up, Pass Out, when it works well to blend, I think, more in the alternative way than the rap and trap way, just because I think there's more to pull from musically and creatively from alternative, at least right now.
Right.
But you also get, I think, Mrs. Dior, Sugar Baby, like these are songs that are like kind of interesting and tongue in cheek, but I also don't think that like they are doing the trap thing very well, or at least in a way that uh pushes either their project or either genre they're trying to blend or do forward. And I actually kind of felt that near the end. I was like, okay, even on second listen, I was like, okay, I get the idea, but this is still like an EP's worth of ideas that you've unfortunately stretched out into 40 minutes, which is a
Mhm.
substantial album in 2024 to me.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me actually a little bit of Brockhampton here or there too, with some of the sounds and whatnot, some of the hip hop motifs, where it's like blending all rock alternative sounds with that, but I think in a good way necessarily, where it doesn't necessarily feel stagnant, where some of their projects could compared to Saturday Night Dynamite. But overall, I liked it. It was fun. It's different in its way. It has its kind of own place. Do I think it's like the best thing in the world? No. I mean, I've heard other things like this before in a way, but it fits in 2024 where it doesn't feel Uncle Rocky in that way, right? Like, it doesn't feel like, it's playing too much in the past. It's just right in its little niche, I feel like.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I think this is a little bit unfair for them because they've had this sort of like, I know how media works. You find out whatever is like the most clickbaity about a band that
Oh, of
maybe like
course.
isn't the most like known about. And you mentioned Gorillas, and like my spidey senses start tingling. And so I'm naturally going to be a lot more critical based off of that, right? So like I can totally take that there. But yeah, I also think this is a year where like I think a lot of rap and trap music, like other than the Kendrick Lamar beef, again, because it got Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole putting some of the most effort they've put into their music in their entire careers. And I think all rap music fans like we ate good earlier this year as a result.
Right.
And adjacently Future and Metro Boomin and a couple of others got their licks in too. But this is still a dead genre. Like everything we said from the beginning of the year, like I think holds up, other than a couple of artists here and there, and that number is dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. I literally prefer listening to every other genre of music, frankly, that's come out in 2024 than anything rap or trap based. And even the women who are like basically carrying the genre right now are still kind of locked in by how the industry works and how if they were to innovate and actually do something really interesting, other than Beyonce, who's like really locked in and like not really interested in doing rap music right now, like you're not really seeing that innovation from your Lattos, your Sexy Reds, your Megan Thee Stallions, etc.
No,
Like
not really.
so it's just like in leaning towards the rap stuff, I wish they didn't, because I just don't think there's a lot there in this time frame right now. But in borrowing from it, I'm glad their mindset is in that place, because I think that's a good thing to do. That's a smart business decision. I think it's good commercially, but make sure you get other ideas, because there are too many of these songs that just felt like oh wow, I'm back to like a standard audio face trap review from 2018 where I'm like, I like some tracks, I think some things are interesting, but mostly it's just like a drag. It's like it's many of the same songs over again. Moments of fun, but also like I think they can do better. Not I expect better necessarily, but I think not even just based on the hype around them, not even just like the Gorillaz comparison. But I did not have this, sort of like wanting more of a feeling from their debut record, and I don't remember listening to their EP, frankly. But like, I think they've got better in them just because I remember differently from that.
Right.
Yeah, not a bad job, guys, but don't feel like you have to be pushed into a certain sort of motif because you definitely do not. Too good for that.
No, absolutely. All right, we do average scale every week on Audio Fixes. Our review. God damn it, listen to it. This week is professional sports teams in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is absolutely the Minnesota Twins baseball team. So never had like crazy success and whatnot, but have kind of gone hard. They have one of the coolest stadiums in baseball of Target Field. And they have some of the hardest uniforms, I think, in baseball. It's beautiful, but it's a decent team, like well known, not the most successful, but represents Minnesota proud, I feel like.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Minnesota United Football Club. They just started playing in 2017, so they're brand new. They don't have like a lot of history behind them. Have they won dick? No. Do they have a really nice stadium? Yes. No, I was passing. I mean, like, it's such a gentrification kind of moment, right? Because it's in a really rough area that the Green Line train passes through in the Twin Cities, and you can just tell by like it felt like the most like Skid Row-ish part of the Twin Cities that I'd been to the entire time. And I don't say that again, #No Politics, watch Power Report, but I don't say that as like a anything to say like, oh, there's homeless people around me and it makes me feel icky, right? Like it's an indictment on our society to like not treat housing as a human right and to not give people who are like down on their luck the resources and the opportunities, and not to value that as a society, and even allow states to have the resources. I think Minnesotans want that, but even just like giving that, and also the stratifications along immigrants and people of color who are experiencing those things, like there's so much there, right? But yeah, you just gotta notice that like there's so many cities you go to where like they just throw a brand new arena in the middle of the ghetto, and it's just like, I don't think they're trying to revitalize this place. I think they're just trying to like, this is the best thing they can do. Whereas like 50 or 60 years ago, they would have just like built a freeway through this neighborhood.
And you got that triple stadium threat, the Forum, SoFi, and whatever the fuck it is for the Clippers.
Yeah, the Intuit Dome. And this is the Allianz Field. That
Allianz
United Allianz, yeah. That Minnesota United plays in. Don't you know? It's gonna squeeze right past
Bayern München plays in the Allianz Arena. So,
there you go. Yeah. So, that is very #No Politics. But yeah, thank you, Pinkerbell, for the go off and comment and push me forward. I am trying to get. Sorry, I need to stall a little bit because I'm trying to do a raid on Twitch, but my Chrome browser is just like not working great at all. So
probably because you have a bajillion tabs open like normal Dan.
I don't have many tabs open. Actually, you want to know how many tabs open I have? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 19, 20, 21 on this computer. I have 21 tabs. Okay. On my work computer, I have 480. So again, I think I'm doing fine. It's just there's other things going on.
480, but wait, is that the
that's the Mac?
Mac, dude.
Which is why
I'm not saying.
I don't
I'm
notice
just
it.
Saying.
Listen, it's all about that ARM architecture. And Windows is getting ARM architecture computers, and they're having the same growing pains that Mac OS did in the first year, where like half the shit just doesn't work. But they're gonna cook, and I'm also gonna hopefully be able to play games on that too.
Please.
But once they make them for desktops, that's literally why the Alienware All Reliable, we're gonna keep that running until we get that going.
We just got to upgrade that bitch. I mean, Microsoft 2024 Flight Simulator is coming out next month, so I got to upgrade this bitch.
Oh, wow. I did not, I'm glad they came out with like a new flight simulator sooner than they did this past time, because like it definitely took too long.
It was crazy because they're like watching people are like, yeah, they made it even better. We don't know how, but they did. I'm like, well, I need to upgrade this computer. So
I mean, we were already barely able to. Your computer is a little bit better than mine, but we were already barely able to play it on launch.
Pretty much, yeah. It's gotten better. It's gotten better, but it's still like sometimes it can get a little lag heavy, and I'm like, shit.
Same with City Skylines 2. I actually beat the unlimited mode.
That's hilarious.
And by that I mean, me and Annie's version of San Francisco is so perfect that there's unlimited demand, and that demand is always met, and so none of my bars ever like go up.
So you're just like,
people are just moving in, traffic is good, people are taking the trains. Like we did it, Patrick. We saved the city. The only issue is that it has 500,000 people in it, and I basically can't run the map without crashing my computer.
Yeah, it's just gonna literally
explode. It's too good.
it's too good. Next thing you know, they're gonna riot because it's too good.
Oh yeah, it's San Francisco. So that's kind of like built in.
That's true.
I am able to do the raid on my phone. I'm gonna need to like uninstall and reinstall Chrome or something. But like, this has been Audio Face, all about Dan's ARM architecture. That's
hilarious.
Thank you very much for listening and watching. I also want to say, on the political side of things, we are deep into the month of October, and so Woptober, and so other than talking about Trump's Riverside almost died, we're going to actually do the DFTI voter guide. You didn't expect me to land that one. You didn't expect me to land that one, did you?
This 8-hour Joe Rogan Experience voter guide from Dan. Love it.
This doesn't have my address on it, right? Okay, yes. This is a sample ballot for Los Angeles County.
Let's go.
I'm going to be going through my real ballot that I actually have, just, not showing my address. And I am going to go through like all of these different, ballot measures. Basically, there's two ways this can work. I stream for like 6 hours on Tuesday night and just fill out my ballot and explain how I'm doing it and why, and I show you how I do it and how I think about it. Or B, my preferred way is y'all ask about different things that are happening across the country near you, and I can learn about that, and I can show you with literally no knowledge whatsoever how I can come to a left of center decision in most of these cases. Sometimes it's really hard, but I'll show you how I get to that process. Also, the other Dan from Body Politic Media, former Michael Brooks producer, is going to be on the show because he is actually one of those geniuses who like pays attention to state level polling on a bunch of different ballot measures and issues and House races and Senate races. And so, Bam and I usually talk about it and we get jaded, but he actually has like pretty solid predictions along with some other folks on the left. And so we're going to be talking about that on the Dan from the Internet YouTube channel, and then on the same Twitch channels we're on right now. But definitely check those out. Those are like the nerdiest. The part of me is just like, I do it for the love of the game. Like, this is my favorite do it for the love of the game kind of moment. It's like, okay, yeah, here's how I'm gonna vote. Like, just fully transparently, here's how I think about it. Please learn these skills so I don't have to do this shit alone. But I encourage y'all to check that out. It's gonna be on Tuesday. Afternoon, evening, the usual time we stream Power Report, maybe like an hour earlier. It's like 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. I haven't figured it totally out yet, but yeah, Sean is reminding me that the previous times I've done this, one time I did it in the TYT conference room. One time I did it in my dorm in college. I've been doing this every 4 years since like Dan from the internet has been a thing, since before I even knew what to want it to be. So I love this shit because I am a pervert. Please watch it and check it out. Anyways, I am going to raid after this Silver Spook as Felipe recommended. But anyways, what does it mean to play us out, Sean?
All right. Well, thank you for listening to Audio Face. You can find us at audioface.show for all the links and all that. And Dan looks very confused, and I love that.
Oh no, because like I was playing the audio, but it messed up your audio a lot. Like it made it sound really bad.
Oh.
Yeah, which it usually doesn't do. But anyways.
Any hoozles. Well, thank you for listening to Audio Face. We shall be back normal next week, so we'll see what that means. But yeah, Audio Face show for everything. Dan's doing a raid apparently, and yeah, I don't even know what that means, but you know, it works.
Oh, it's when I basically the people who are watching this channel get to watch another channel
to someone else.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
What was I?
What does it mean to what does it mean to play us out?
Yes. No, I like just changed the screen on my phone and it completely got rid of it because the Twitch app sucks. Anyways, that is going to happen now. Please check that out and we will see you. I guess it's gonna happen in 90 seconds. I don't know how to like make it happen sooner, but I will keep it running for 90 seconds. But anyways, peace. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next episode of Audio Face, and I will see you on the DFTI voter guide and for whatever happens on PowerPoint for the rest of the election cycle.
Yes.
God help us all. Cheers.